He shows me a picture of a thing called a Cinebox machine. And picture a big egg-looking thing with painted red and the front a dark color, and it has dials, buttons like a jukebox on the front and a television screen. And instead of hearing music, you pushed a button and you saw the musicians like MTV, except this was way before MTV. Would I get on a plane tomorrow and come to Milan? Don't tell anybody where I was going. They would have a ticket waiting for me at the airport. Don't tell anybody, which of course I love. This seems like James Bond before James Bond was out there. Yeah, I can't wait. They said, we want to talk about Libretta motor scooters. We have 25,000 Libretta motor scooters in a warehouse in Long Island, and the motor scooter Vespa Lambretta is over. Mopeds are in with the big wheel, and we're not selling any. Now, remember, this is 1967. Oh, I was almost 28. And I said, okay, give me $5,000 a week, 1-year contract, and an office in New York. Now I'm living in Philadelphia. And I just said that. And they said, okay. Went out and bought myself a used Rolls Royce, hired myself a driver. And every morning, bright and early, I'd come downstairs with my pillow and my pajamas, get to sleep in the back of the Rolls, drive up the turnpike. At the end of the turnpike, pull into the gas station, put on my suit. He would drive me to the Time and Life building. I would get out. I would go up in my office, read the Wall Street Journal, read the New York Times, listen to the radio. Had no idea what the hell to do. I happen to be politically connected in the United States. And I know you think I'm full of crap. So here's the deal. If I can get the United States government to give me an exemption to bring in your cars, you tell me that I have a contract for that car. And they said, absolutely. And I pulled out that piece of paper, and Subaru of America was formed. Now I'm forced to go back and get the bigger car, the front wheel drive car that they did not want to sell me. I only had the little one. So I send them, now I'm desperate. I mean, I got to have something or it's over. So I write them a telex, or my secretary says, I'm coming over tomorrow and I am sending you a contract. And I do not want you to change one word in that contract. And I'll be over for you to sign it. I am getting on the plane in New York to go fly to Tokyo. And I get a telex. My secretary calls me up. Before you get on the plane, you might want to hear this. What is it? If intention has come to sign the contract as is, don't come.
Jeff Stearns, connected through cars. If they're bigwigs, we'll have them on the show. And yes, we'll talk about cars and everything else. Here he is now, Jeff Stearns.
I mean, are you the father or grandfather of Subaru in North America, or am I overstating it?
No. I am the father. There's no question about that. And it happened the following way. Now, I've just sold my business. I don't have the slightest thing in what to do. And so I decide I'm moving back to Philadelphia. Now, I left when I was 10. Now I'm almost 21, 22, something in that area. And I'm going to move back to Philadelphia. All right. So, and I may have these years mixed up by a couple of years, but in that neighborhood. So I go to Philadelphia and get an apartment. I got my 3. Now, by this time, I have 3 kids, by the way. 3 out of my 6 that I will eventually have. And I'm looking around in Philadelphia. I sort of have relatives there, and I'm meeting friends that I never knew. And they introduced me to a man by the name of David Rosen. And David Rosen's business was he owned coin-operated machines in the Philadelphia and general area. Very big deal in that. Cigarette machines, jute boxes, whatever takes a coin, they had. Mm-hmm. And he was older, and he had sons younger than me. And he sort of adopted me as his, kid, because I would come in every day. We'd have coffee, he'd talk about his stuff, and I'd leave. And I liked him, but there was nothing about the coin-operated machine business that turned me on or that they needed me for. But he wanted to get me. He was intrigued with something, and he didn't know what he wanted me for, but he wanted me. And so we would talk, and I would listen. Then one day he says, okay, I got it. What's that? And he shows me a picture of a thing called a Cinebox machine. And picture a big egg-looking thing with painted red and the front a dark color, and it has dials, buttons like a jukebox on the front and a television screen. And instead of hearing music, you pushed a button and you saw the musicians like MTV, except this was way before MTV. And he showed me that and went, oh my God, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. So he said, okay, they want to give it to me. We have to fly over to Milan. You're coming with me. This is my first time out of the country. We fly to Milan and we meet the Innocente Corporation. The Innocente Corporation built heavy presses, big name Innocente that you would see in just about every car factory, big presses. And they build Morris Minor vehicles on license from Great Britain. And they built Lambretta motor scooters. And they were building the Cinebox. They just didn't have anybody to buy it. So we looked at it and it was great. I mean, it looked like the future and it just was great. So we ordered a bunch of machines and we come back and now I'm going to go put them out in these in bars and restaurants and places, except I couldn't because I needed product. So now we're going to have machines coming over, but we don't have any product. So I fly over to LA and I meet with all the studio people to try to convince them, get me product. And they looked at me like, oh, really? So how many do you want to buy? Like, I don't know, 1,000. I mean, if I have 1,000 machines out, that's a lot of machines. 1,000 machines, nobody's going to do anything for you for 1,000. I mean, there may be 100,000, they'll talk about it. But before MTV, there wasn't anybody who gave a damn about making a film about them playing a song. So I realized, oh my God, new problem. I got a thing that I have a cigarette holder without cigarettes. I got nothing to show on there. And you're damn right they'd like to say that at the bars. I'd like to see them too, but I don't want to be in that business. Although I think back at it, it might have been a good business to be in. But at the time, I decided, no, that wasn't my style. I did not want to go. I like naked girls. I just didn't want to be in the business of being in that business.
Sure.
All right. So,
makes sense.
So I said, David, this is not for me. What I'm going to do is I'll find a place to sell these and I'm going to sell them to Food Fair to put over their checkout counters. And I'm going to get the advertisers to put in whatever their commercials are. So as people are waiting in line to check out, they can see somebody's commercial and maybe they'll go out and buy another one. Who gives a damn? I sold them all.
That's good thinking.
Yeah, but I didn't want to be in that business either. It just, I don't know. I don't know what I wanted, but it wasn't that. For sure, it wasn't that. All right. So that, it seemed like would be the end of the story. Very shortly after I decided to bow out, I get a call from Italy. It was a Sunday morning. I remember picking up the phone and hearing somebody talk to me in Italian. And then they finally got on somebody who could speak English. And the crux of the thing was, would I get on a plane tomorrow and come to Milan? Don't tell anybody where I was going. They would have a ticket waiting for me at the airport. Don't tell anybody, which of course I loved. It seems like James Bond before James Bond was out there. Yeah, I can't wait. Boom. Got on the plane. I got met on the steps. Did not go through customs. Nobody checked my passport. I'm getting really excited. We go fly to the headquarters of Innocente. We go into the boardroom. I met with all these. Remember, I'm 21, 22, 23, 24. I'm not sure. In that age, less than 28 is where I am. And they tell me, first, thank you for coming. And why am I here? Well, they have a serious problem in the United States and they need to talk to somebody they can trust. And after our meeting that we had and the business we did, and they saw how I got out of it, they thought they could trust me. I said, oh, thank you for saying that. What do we want to talk about? They said, we want to talk about Lambretta motor scooters. We have 25,000 Lambretta motor scooters in a warehouse in Long Island, and the motor scooter Vespa Lambretta is over. Mopeds are in with the big wheel, and we're not selling any. It's not how much money that all amounts to. It's we are amazingly embarrassed. We are getting such abuse by people who are investors in our company about those 25,000 that if I had to give them away, except that would look bad too, we need to sell them. And I said, and you're asking me, of all the things in the whole world that my mother wouldn't let me have, it's have a motorbike, a motor scooter, a motorcycle. No matter what I tried to connive, I could never have that. So my knowledge about that is exactly zero. And you want me to help you? They laughed. They said, well, that's exactly the reason, because you're honest. I said, being honest is a nice thing to have, but not being knowledgeable is not the smartest thing for you to get involved with. I'm telling you, I don't know how to help you. They said, well, just do us a favor. When you fly back tomorrow, Would you please just go out in Long Island, look at the situation, and let us know what you think? I said, okay, no problem. I'd be happy to do that. What do you want? I said, I don't want anything for doing that. I said, I'd be happy to do it. No problem. So I fly in, I go take a car, I go out to Long Island. I meet two nice Italian guys that speak broken English, and they take a siesta, and they take a 2 or 3 hour lunch. And if you want something, you send them a check and tell them, please send it. 100% opposite of how you should do business, and 3 million times opposite of how you do business when there ain't no business.
Right.
So I get on a plane, I fly back to Italy. I said, my recommendation is you fire those two guys. They're nice guys, but they're not going to do any good for you there. Oh, I said, okay. And I said, I got no and. You got 25,000 units, and I haven't the slightest idea what the hell to do in a bad market, in a product I have no understanding of. Okay, make us a deal. How do you want me to make you a deal? I am telling you, I don't know anything about the product or the segment. We have confidence in you. Make us a deal. So I figure I'll make them a deal. They'll shut their mouth. It'll be over politely without anybody losing face. I said, okay. Now remember, this is 1967. Oh, I was almost 28. And I said, okay, give me $5,000 a week, 1 year contract, and an office in New York. Now I'm living in Philadelphia. And I just said that. And they said, okay. So he gave me a check for $5,000. They gave me a piece of paper giving me a 1 year contract. There was nothing in it that said I had to do a damn thing, because I told them I didn't know what I was going to do. And they told me an office that they had in New York, they'll turn it over to me. And that was with the secretary. Cool. So I flew home, went out and bought myself a used Rolls Royce, hired myself a driver. And every morning, bright and early, I'd come downstairs with my pillow and my pajamas, get to sleep in the back of the Rolls, drive up the turnpike, at the end of the turnpike, pull into the gas station, put on my suit. He would drive me to the Time and Life building. I would get out. I'd go up in my office, read the Wall Street Journal, read the New York Times, listen to the radio. Had no idea what the hell to do. I didn't even know what to start. So now it came lunchtime. Where do I want to go have lunch? Well, 21 is a little stuffy for me because I wasn't always wearing my tie and jacket. But right next door was a place called Toots Shores. Toots Shores was a place where business people hung out, like 21, but they also had in the middle a round table. And on that round table, anybody who sat there for the purpose of talking to the other people at the round table. So lots of people, like the chairman of General Motors, sat there to talk to the people. I mean, a lot of really big executives and politicians would use that as a sounding board to people that they never would get to talk to and who wouldn't give them normally an honest answer. I sat next to a guy who had an office across the street from me, which was also across the street from J.C. Penney's. And his job is he was a rep for a furniture factory, and his only customer was J.C. Penney's. So it was him and this beautiful receptionist and his customer across the street. And he, like I, would go to lunch at Toots Shores. He had one other attribute. He was a police groupie. He had their badge, and he talked about the police, and he did things with them, and they knew him. I mean, he really loved the police, and he loved being as close as he could be to being a policeman without being a policeman. And I would listen to his stories, and interesting, and I told him what I was doing. And after I was with him for about a week, he says to me, give me 3 scooters. I said, okay, what do you want me to do with them? He said, I want you to send them to the police force. They're going to use them for the meter maids. And I'm thinking, what a dumb idea that is. But I didn't say it, and I gave him 3. And he came back. I mean, every day we're there. What's happening? He said they seem to be really happy with it. And a week later, they came back and said, okay, guess what? They now believe, based on their information, that 1 motor scooter is the equivalent of 5 meter maids. Oh, I said, wow. I said, that's really nice. So what do they want? They want to buy 1,000. Really? Yep. Okay. We sold 1,000. Gave him, he called them, Italy told him to sell 1,000, told him what the commission got to be 5% for doing it. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. We sell 1,000. Everything's going along. I'm meeting. Oh, there's an adjective to this. So now here's my I come in the morning. I go up to my office, read whatever papers I can. Then I go across the street at 5 after 12 because he's going to touch shores and I have a date with the receptionist. Then about 12:30, I end up at touch shores sitting next to him. Okay. And that was my routine. And that was inspiration because it got me to be willing to go in the car all the way to New York every day and come back every day. So this is going along probably another 2 or 3 weeks. And he says to me, I need another 3 scooters. Absolutely. What do you want? He said, they're going to police force and they're going to use them for Central Park. At that time, 67, Central Park was not a safe place to be. You didn't go near Central Park. Forget nighttime, sometimes even in the daytime. And they decided they were going to try and see if they could run after people. Now, the truth of the matter, it's not a bad idea. The bad idea is having a small wheel going over terrain. You ought to have a big wheel, like a moped as an example, but nobody was talking to him, only this guy. So they took the 3 and boom, they saw it as really good and they buy another 1,000. And lo and behold, soon you see a headline, Central Park gets open because of the scooter patrol. So the scooters were getting credit for cleaning up the park because you could run after them and who knows why, but it worked. Another couple of weeks go by and I'm feeling pretty cocky. We sold 2,000 of these damn things, which is 2,000 more than I could imagine we'd ever figure out how to sell. And he says, I need 15,000. Absolutely. What do you want it for? He said, we're running ads in the Police Gazette. And I got the New York Police Department, a guy who is willing to give a name and his phone number for you to call. So them to call for him to give you a report on what they've done with the meter maids and with Central Park. Boom. I'm out of scooters.
Fabulous.
Yeah. I'm out of scooters. I got about 9 months to go. Now I'm going crazy because enough with the lunch and enough with going across the street. 9 months more to go. What can I do? So I start looking at what's going on in the world of scooters and motorcycles. And I see in every little place, there's a little thing renting scooters. And they're renting them for $15 an hour. This is a time when a scooter cost a couple $100. What the hell is going on here? Why would you pay $15? Well, because it was different. It was fun. An hour is all enough. But there was a problem there. What was the problem? Well, when you got on a scooter, you had to shift it. So you're getting on something that's motorized that you have to balance and you have to shift and you're into traffic. People get in accidents, a perfect accident thing. I would have gotten in an accident if I tried to play that game myself. So the end of the story is when they get in an accident, they have to close their business because they don't got insurance for motor scooters, rental motor scooters. So it's a great business and you can make your money back on the scooter in a month, but your longevity is not there. So I went, boom, if I can get the insurance, and if I can now find a scooter because they are not building me any more scooters to sell here, I have a business. So I went to State Farm and I got them to agree to $1 an hour, and we had insurance. I had the insurance part. Now I needed a scooter, and I'm reading the Wall Street Journal one day, and I read an ad and it says, "I got 400 scooters, rabbit scooters on rental, looking for a partner." So I call him up. Yeah, he has 450 scooters. He has a contract for the United States. His problem is he bought the distribution rights, so he has a warehouse full of parts and a bunch of scooters, and the 450 work great in the summertime, but they don't rent real well in Boston in the wintertime. So he has a $75,000 bank loan, an SBA loan backed by the bank, of course, and it's overdue, and he's got a problem. He's got all the cash tied up. So I fly to Boston. I meet with the New England Merchant Bank and him, and I say, 450 scooters, do whatever you want with them. They're yours. I'll get rid of all the inventory. I'll guarantee the loan, but I want the contract assigned to me. You own the 450 scooters. They're yours. Do whatever you want with them. But I want that contract assigned to me. And I liked it because it was an automatic transmission. So I got insurance and an automatic transmission. I own the world. I got the perfect product for this particular plane. And now I put together a package where I sell it to gas stations. I sell you a dozen scooters to the gas station, and I can finance them because you mainly own your gas station. So I take a mortgage out on, or you take a mortgage out on your thing and buy this package, which you don't figure your gas is expense, you don't figure services expense, you don't consider the space as expense, and the insurance you only pay for when you rent it. So from a gas station point of view, it was a really good deal. made a bunch of money in a business they're already in. Boom, I sell all my inventory. So now I want to order more. Oh, in the meantime, before I had done all this and signed everything, the bank assured me they had the contract assigned by Fuji Heavy Industries. Okay, great. And at that point, I'm cocky and sloppy. Not going, give me the contract. They told me they had it, keep it at the bank. They're the ones who let me guarantee the loan. So they're the ones that, anyhow, we sell off everything, we pay off the loan. Now I'm out of inventory. I want to order a couple thousand scooters. So I give me the information of Fuji. I go out and get a telex, and we telex them. Things are really going good. I want to have another couple thousand, but I'd like to come talk to you because I'd like to buy whatever your quantity is. Whatever you could build, I want. I get a very nice telex back the next morning. Who am I? And don't I know they're dismantling the factory because they sold it to Israel? I call up the bank and my partner. Excuse me, I have a small problem. I went to order scooters. They don't know who I am. And they tell me to dismantle. Yeah, they knew that. I said, what do you mean they knew that? I have a contract. No, you don't. Actually, we forged it. I said, you what? Are you out of your mind?
They admit it.
Well, wait a second. They started, yeah. Well, they had admitted. I mean, it was blatant. I just found out they didn't. They said to me, well, you didn't lose anything. The loan's paid off. You didn't, I mean, I said, no, you're right. I didn't lose anything. I said, and I'm not going to do anything because I got the introduction. So I'm going to go to Japan and you better hope it all turns out okay. Oh, we have great confidence in you. So I get a visa. I fly off to Japan. Japan, 1967 is gray. Everybody's gray. The yen is 360. They are a little bit frightened of the United States, and the United States market scares the crap out of them. And in I come, 27, Peter Max ties, double-breasted suits, sideburns down to here, like I am from Mars. And everybody there that I'm talking to is 50 or older, and I'm 27. So it's totally a different kind of animal. And they know I got screwed. They don't think they're responsible, but they're not sure if they're responsible or not. What they know is they don't want any trouble from me. So they're going to be nice to me. Nice and doing something are two different things. They're going to be nice. Now, I had gone booked for 2 weeks, and they took me to all their factories, their car factories, and their airplane factories, and their blah, blah, blah. And they take me to their motor scooter factory, which was being dismantled. And I told them, here's the brochure. Here's the market I'm after. Here's what I did with insurance. I can sell, there's 200 and some thousand gas stations in there. I can sell at least 100,000 of these gas stations. How much can you build? Blah, 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 blah. Your perfect scooter for this. Whatever it costs, I'll pay Israel for it. I want you to build those scooters. And I'm thinking they agree. I learned later on that means they understand, not that they agree. And I leave thinking, I got myself a deal. And a week and a half later, I get so sorry, but it's too late. We can't back down. It's already done. We're already sorry. Oh, I can't believe it. I can't believe I wasted all this time for exactly nothing. So I'm going to try one more thing. And I go fly back to Japan. And they're seeing me because they're being polite. The last thing they want to do is me suing them in the United States. They don't even want to think about that. And I wouldn't have thought about it either. But they don't know that. So I say, hey, listen, I'm really sorry that we can't do it with the scooter. But, I saw your little 360. And I said, you told me at the time it was $640 FOB Yokohama. And I checked and it's $100 transportation and $14 for duty. So I want a contract for that.
Now, what's a 360, Malcolm? I'm sorry.
The 360 was their little car that had a four-cylinder engine. No. Yeah, they put oil and gas together.
Two-stroke.
Right. Yeah, two-stroke. That's right. Two-stroke. And it's got 66 miles to the gallon. And it was adorable. I mean, I could sit in the car with a hat on. It looked like a little egg. I could sit in with a hat on, and there was enough room the way they packaged it. And it had leather seats and white wall tires and radio for $640. $740, $775 in his mind in the United States landed. Wow. I don't know a damn thing about the car business, but I know I can do something at that price. Whether I rent it out at $1 a day, there's something I can do at that price. I want the goddamn contract. I can do something here. Rent them out. I mean, this is something great. Now, remember, they're being polite. So they say to me, Mr. Bricklin, we'd love to sell them to you. Problem is, a couple problems. One, we don't believe they'll buy little cars like this in the United States. So we don't think there's a market. And the second all is The next year, 1968 or 1969, we're somewhere in there, the federal regulations were starting to take effect for safety. So if you give us $1.5 million so we can do all the things we have to do to the car to make it legal for you to sell it in the United States, you can have the car. Now, I knew that was sort of a polite way to go fuck yourself.
Right.
But I said, thank you very much. I got on a plane and I flew to Washington, D.C., and I go into the NHTSA office and I said, give me the book on the federal regulations for safety. They give me a book about 2 inches thick. And first I look at the outside, I go, oh, this is not for me. But I open it up. I read the first couple of pages. I go, I'm dead. I can't understand a damn thing here. I can't deal with it on this basis. I go back to the first page, which said, these safety rules apply to all cars over 1,000 pounds curb weight.
Mm.
Boom, 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 boom. What's curb weight? Curb weight is sitting at the curb with all its fluids, all the gas filled in, the air conditioning, if it has a fluid filled in, whatever you have fluid filled in, that's curb weight. My brochure says 960 pounds curb weight. What can you do to change the law if I start bringing these cars in the United States? They said, the way it works, you bring something in, we get enough complaints, that triggers hearings. We have to have hearings on it so people can make their desires known. And then we pass a law, and then it takes 2 years to go into effect. I said, simple. If I walk out this door and decide to bring in a car, the soonest you can stop me is 2 years from now. They said, no. Well, we told you it could be 5, it could be 10, it could be never. It's a long time, not 2 years from now. But I said, but for sure I got 2 years. Absolutely. What do I got to do? Take the brochure down to the IRS. They will give you an exemption. So I did. Boom. I called Japan. I said, I'm coming over. I need a meeting with the board of directors. It will be my last trip to Japan if we can't agree at this meeting.
Malcolm, they said take the brochure to the IRS or to like the DOT?
Yeah, the IRS office. I go to an IRS office.
Okay.
I show them the brochure, and they gave me a piece of paper and they stamped it and it said I can bring in this particular car with the brochure attached without meeting the regulations.
Okay.
Now I got that. It's in my pocket. The first thing I do is go out and hire for the week somebody, an acquaintance of mine that was 55 years old. And I was hiring him so it looked like I had some people that were at age to him. And I told him, your job is to come smile and say hello. Don't say anything else. Don't do anything else where you're just working with me. We fly to Japan. We go in. It was a snowy day in Tokyo, which is very rare. Their offices were right across from the Shinjuku station, which trillions of people go every day. And all these people running around in the snow, which Tokyo was not prepared for. So I remember the feeling of frustration with that snow coming down and people running around, and we're in the boardroom. And I say to them, I thank them very much for their patience. I knew they were being tolerant. I wanted to tell them for sure, no matter what happens with us, I will never sue you. You do not have to worry about that. Don't have to react in any decision you're about to make based on a fear of me doing anything that would jeopardize your name, reputation, or money. Thank you. Okay. So I said, let's be real clear. I'm going to pull out all the stops. I happen to be politically connected in the United States. And I know you think I'm full of crap. So here's the deal. If I can get the United States government to give me an exemption to bring in your cars, you tell me that I have a contract for that car. And they said, absolutely. And I pulled out that piece of paper and Subaru of America was formed.
That's unbelievable.
From the Lembretta motor scooters that I couldn't sell.
Was the make called Subaru in Japan, or did you come up with that name?
Subaru is the name I came up with. They called it Subaru. They called it Subaru here because some advertising agency, 12 Subaru. But Subaru is how you pronounce it there. And the 5 stars is the same. Now we only got the little car. Then everything is going fabulous. Selling them as fast as I can bring them in. I'm getting letters of credit. I need letters of credit before they're getting and ships and all stuff I had no idea about. And then one day, Consumer Report comes out on the front cover, Cadillac and his little 360 with a shitty article that says unsafe because it didn't have to meet any regulations. Somebody calls me up and tells me about it. I said, what's Consumer Report? So they tell me. I said, well, what's the circulation? They said 500,000. So I said, what do I care? 500,000 people won't buy the car. Who gives a damn? They said, no, that's not the problem. Problem is all the banks read it, and the banks are cutting off the floor planning to the dealers for the car. Now, I got cars stuck on ships. I got cars being built. I got pieces being built that are going to the factory. It's going to be built. Holy moly, what am I going to do? The dealers are canceling their future orders because the banks are cutting off the floor planning. Isn't that cool? That's one of those cases. Oh, my goodness. Now I'm forced to go back and get the bigger car, the front wheel drive car that they did not want to sell me. I only had the little one. So I send them, now I'm desperate. I mean, I got to have something or it's over. So I write him a telex from my secretary. Says, I'm coming over tomorrow and I am sending you a contract. And I do not want you to change one word in that contract. And I'll be over for you to sign it. Now, I had met an investment banker that told me to give me a couple $1 million if I could get a contract for the bigger car. And he put it in writing that he would give it to me. And I said, here's a contract. What do you want in it? And they put 25 years and this and that and so forth. And that's what I sent over there. And I told him, don't change a word. And not a good way to negotiate, by the way. Don't change a word. I'm coming over to sign it. I am getting on the plane in New York to go fly to Tokyo. And I get a telex. My secretary calls me up. Before you get on the plane, you might want to hear this. What is it? If intention has come to sign the contract as is, don't come. We're not signing. I sent back,
goodness.
I'm coming. You're signing. See you soon. And got on the plane. Yeah.
So at the end, you got to, you've done a lot of things in your life, but we got to put the MALCOLM BRICKLIN sales course out there too.
This was the most unbelievable to me this day of how this actually turned out, that they gave me the contract that I wanted. Now I'm back there. They're telling me they're not signing it. They're not giving me the bigger car. They had planned on doing it themselves. They only gave me the little car to make me happy. They didn't think I could sell them anyhow. They didn't. This is now going to embarrass them. I said, it's going to be worse than embarrassing. You're going to lose all the dealers. You're going to have it's going to be like Hiroshima, unfortunately. No, not nice. So I meet with them. I give them all my wonderful arguments. They tell me no. I meet with various people. They tell me no. Now, a week goes by and I'm getting 100% no's. They're not opening even the door for any reason whatsoever to give me what I want. And by the way, I want a perpetual contract on top of it all. Nobody has ever gotten a perpetual contract in their universe. And I wanted that on top of everything else I was asking for. And I wasn't willing to negotiate. They were saying no matter what. Even if I changed it, they weren't going to give it to me. So finally I say to them, all right, out of courtesy, I want dinner with you, Mr. Kikuchi, the export manager, and O'Hara, who was the chairman of the board. And he was sort of like me. And I want a dinner and I want one last shot. And that's it. Whichever way it goes, I'm out of your hair or I'm in your hair, but in a good way. Okay. So now Harvey Lamb, who I made him my executive vice president, but he is one of the great car guys in the world. Turned out to be. He wasn't when I met him, but he took Subaru to heights. And it was really him who did it. Great guy. And I had given him 25% of the company. So he made a fortune. So we're sitting at the table and I have O'Hara across there and I have the interpreter and the sales manager next to me and Harvey Lamb on this side. And we're on the 16th floor of the tallest building in Tokyo at the time. And the band is playing and everybody at the table, including me, are smoking cigarettes. And I got a headache that is killing me. And I'm desperate. It's either tonight or it's over. And I give them you got to do this and blah, 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 blah. And here's what's going to happen if you don't, blah, 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 blah. And the guy looks at me and he interprets it. And he says, he understands now. Sorry. I turned to Harvey and I said, I have no idea why I'm about to do what I'm about to do, but be prepared because I expect to see you under the table when I get started. Now, first I have to tell you, if anybody involved with me is impolite or discourteous to anybody involved, a secretary or customer or somebody who hates us, it's not okay. Being embarrassing to anybody or impolite or saying bad, it's just not okay. And I can't imagine myself doing it. With that, I turned to him, look across the table, lean across, and called him every bad word I can imagine, ending with Jap at the end of it. I mean, and talked about if you think Hiroshima was bad, when you see what's going to happen in the United States if we don't go forward with the new car to save the deal. On and on. I mean, Harvey was petrified. The sales manager, I'm ready to die. The export manager, ready to die. And that guy is looking me straight in. And I am coming off with this kind of energy. I mean, it's like I got an atomic bomb I'm blasting in his face about, and crude, horrible words are coming out of my mouth. And I stop, and there's quiet. And he says, so now I understand. Turns to Kikuchi and says, give him the contract.
That's it.
To this day, I have no idea what I said that triggered that. And I became his favorite son. And everybody in Fuji thought that I was incredibly powerful to change his mind and for him now to be my friend. And I got a 99-year contract. No, and I had a petrol contract. And they tried to offer me money per car in the bank in Japan, not to ask for that, to ask for 25 years. For some reason, I just wanted what I wanted. I said, no, I can't take money from you because we're a public company and we'll all go to jail if I take money from you and I don't report it. So that, thank you very much, but we can't do. Then they said, well, how about 50 years? And I'd give them a story. Listen, you said we're partners. Partners to me means your kids and my kids will be working together and our grandkids will be working together. I want perpetual. Finally, they said, okay, we'll give you perpetual, but you can't tell anybody. I said, we're a public company. We have an annual report that comes out every year. It will be first paragraph in that annual report every year for the rest of our lives. They eventually said, okay, I don't know why. To this day, while I'm telling you the story, I can't imagine that coming out of my mouth to anybody. And I can't imagine them coming to that conclusion with that crap coming out of my mouth.
Malcolm, it had something to do with, like, I'm trying to, because I've been in sales. I ran dealerships for 27 years and selling to dealers for 8 years. So I'm kind of into that, and in a little bit of NLP, a little neuro-linguistic programming. But sometimes it's when you are what you're saying.
Yeah, you happen to be right. This is the only answer that makes any sense. He felt the energy. He felt
that's it.
Unbelievable. I mean, this was desperation for me. What I was doing was out of character, but the energy that came out had to be like a bomb on his head. And he was a smart man. And it worked out fabulous for him.
What you were saying, the horrible words that you're not proud of, was who you are and what you were at that moment. And if the words were bouncing them off them before, that energy wasn't later. So well done. Yeah. Now you're out with Subaru though now.
Oh yeah. But Subaru, everybody's out. When I say everybody's out, 20 years later, they came and bought all the stockholders back. We were the only Japanese car company that was not owned as an importer by the factory. So they wanted to eventually buy back, and they bought all the stockholders back.
Well, I mean, okay. So other Japanese imports didn't have distributors, or am I misunderstanding?
No. There was no other importers. All the importers were the companies themselves. So any car company that comes in the United States becomes their importer. They, at that time, would set up dealers like Volkswagen had distributors, Toyota had distributors, but everybody eventually buys them back.
Right.
Because they figure, what do I need these guys for? They did everything, and they pay big money to get them back. By the way, Moran, that owns the Florida
Southeast Toyota,
right, turned down multi-billions of dollars not to sell. Two of my Subaru dealers, distributors, would not sell. The New England, New Jersey distributor and the New England distributor. New England distributor, Ernie Bach Jr., the son of the guy who started it, claims he's making $250 million a year from selling Subarus to his dealers. And the guy, Bobby Butler, in New York, New Jersey, claims that he's making somewhere between $5 and $10 million a month.
Not bad work if you can get it.
Yeah, God bless him. God bless him.
God bless him is right. So how did you end up? Phenomenal story. Like, I didn't even know this story. I'm so excited to hear this. This is amazing. I'm so happy to meet you, Malcolm. Honest to God. I mean,
it's my pleasure, Jeff. It's my pleasure.
Really, because I've known your name since I'm 10 years old-ish. I wish my dad was still around. If
what
he
are you,
knew,
about 56 or 57?
55.
55, because I have 3 sons that are older than you, 60, 58, and 56. So you're a 4th son. I got a 44 and a 34 and a 29 also.
Got it. Well, you and I have a little bit because I have an 18 and 21-year-old and a 5-month-old.
Oh, way to go. All right.
So I'm in the Malcolm Club. What can I tell
Yeah,
you?
you are. Yeah, you are.
So how does it go from that to, okay, so I always wondered when you were importing Yugo and importing Fiat, I'm like, I wonder how he got into, like, I know that, for example, people in the clothing business, right? Schmata, they're going overseas or to Italy or to Asia or whatever, or France, and they're doing their buying. And I'm like, how did this guy just find this car or that car? But now I understand that from the scooters to the Subaru, the 360 and the Subaru. Now I understand how you got your taste for that. So how does it go to your own car, Bricklin, and what was behind that?
This has been Jeff Stearns, Connected Through Cars.